Yoshis and welcome to Steadfast Ascent. My name is Beth and today I figured I would take you on a little journey and have you mix with me as I take a look at this instrumental song that I was making a couple days ago for a project that I have. I know I mentioned that mixing is really easy and really not hard and all the things, and I want to prove to you that it is really easy and really not hard and all of the things. So hopefully within the next 20 minutes we should have a pretty darn decent mix of this song, and you will know all of the things that I do at least, and all of the things that I find to be important for mixing. Mixing, if you do a good job recording, mixing should be easy for you. So as we can see here, I have about, functionally 10 channels, although this one here is a stack, and so it looks like there's 19. I have created an alternate track by going into File, Project Alternatives, New Alternative, and I've made the Mix With Me track. I've set all of the things to 0, and my pan should all be at 0, and because I use a template actually to start all of my recordings, all of the instruments already have a couple of plugins, or not plugins, just depending on what I chose to use. So knowing that, this is what we have started with. Mixing is easy. All you have to do is move the volume, then add effects, and then pan. Like I mentioned, I already have some effects, but we'll go in and take a look and make sure they all sound good. So the first things are first. I'm actually going to loop the loudest part of the song, which is over here. And I am going to play it, and at the loudest part of the song, I'm going to move all of my faders, trying to get my dB to reach around 12. I gotta be honest, I usually just try to make it so it doesn't go into the yellow, but if you're wanting to be real fancy, you want your dB to be super low, because the reality is that in a digital environment, you have lots of headspace, and you can leave yourself lots of headspace for mastering. We'll just see how it goes. So let's take a listen to begin with. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing is you'll notice that this is peaking aggressively, which means that the clip is not okay and it's gonna sound horrible. And so let's see, let's drop everything. Put it down here. My guitars are usually overpowering, so we'll drop those considerably. And you can even tell between the bass wavelength and the guitar wavelength. The guitar wavelength is almost filling the entire thing. There's not a lot of headspace on either side, whereas with the bass, there's a lot of headspace. So that just can help you know generically if you are going to be doing this. Now, the other thing I could be doing is while it's playing. Oh, see, that already sounds way better, except my lead guitars are still aggressively up here. I still want to be able to hear this, but this is overpowering everything now. Oh no, what just happened? Now I can't even hear the music. Well, that's good. You should be mixing quietly to protect your ears. And again, if we are trying to keep, see now, look at where this is. And this will show you the highest note it peaks at. So -3, I'm actually doing pretty good there. I might set these a little more evenly. Let's see. Haha. The other thing I might do is I might turn it up so I can hear everything more clearly, but for the most part, I'm not sure that I'm actually hearing the toms, so let's wait for the repeat. Yeah. So the other thing you'll notice is that I am mixing with the pans at 0, so that all of this that's happening with the effects and with the faders is happening in a neutral space. It's happening in mono. So if when someone is listening to my track on mono, I know it will sound good even before I've added the pan, because I've done my mixing in mono. So I totally missed where the toms are. Okay, I like where that snare is. Okay, stand apart more, so I'm gonna try a different preset. I've got the rock kick drum set, but let's see what happens if I listen to punchy kick. Let's compare that real quick. So I think what I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna, the bump, oh, not that one. I need another one. The bump over here from the rock punchy kick I liked, but this of course is making the beater on the head sound more, make that sound come out more, so I'm gonna leave that, leave this. Beautiful. So again, I moved my faders, and luckily, I mean, I just kind of was setting them and it's sounding good. I might actually drop these down a little bit more because there's two of them, and in mono they're kind of just overpowering each other. But for the most part, I mean, knowing just from the headspace how much or how little I wanted to move my faders, all of the hard work was done. And we are, like, this is the loudest part of the song, and it's coming in at 3.8 decibels. Like, we're well below, like, -1 decibel. I mean, if I was really trying really hard to actually, like, fit in the headspace, I would try probably to drop everything another ½ decibel or two to get it to -6. But again, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with this. My bass, let's take a look at the bass. So I have a preset in here. I assume it's the picked one, yeah. So as you can see, this plugin has all of the same things that Logic has. It has an equalizer, it has an exciter, and it has a compressor. If I were to go into Logic's presets, I could go and just find myself a bass preset and then play with that from there. Friendly note that downloading the legacy stuff I find to be super helpful because it just gives you so many more presets that you can use. And there's, I mean, literally there's so many, and like, so I downloaded a jam pack at some point, so now I have even more different kinds of presets I could choose to use. And that's all in Logic, not a big deal, simple good time, easy enough. And so yeah, I like the way the bass is sounding now. Okay, so we've had enough probably of this part of the song, so I just pressed C to turn off my cycle. One note is that if you want to move the faders not just like in the actual open space, you can press Command 2 and it will pull up a mix window, the mixer, and so then you can just play with all of your faders right here in a row and not have to worry about, you know, being so whatever, I don't know. If this is what you like, this is what you like. I'm okay using the other one, but it's cool. Another thing that a lot of people like to do when they are recording is color coding their tracks. But long story short, oh yeah, assign the channel strip color so that you can keep track of what track you are doing where and when and why and how. And you know, you put all the guitars in one color, and so then you can see really quickly, oh yeah, I need to move all the guitars down, or whatever, what have you. I mean, for me, I only have 10 tracks, so it's really not hard for me to keep track of what is going on, although you will notice that, of course, in here, I have right-clicked on these things, and I have chosen an image so that I can see visually what I am mixing with and how I am mixing. So let's actually, now that we have set all of these parts that were in that super loud section, you'll notice we still have 3 tracks that weren't even in the loud section. Let's take a look compared to the rest of the song. Okay, so we're like at -15. Where are we gonna be over here? -10. So let's crank this up a bit. That's better. Okay, so my tiki tacos are kind of overpowering everything else. And this sets it so it doesn't sound so much like a metronome and more like the ta-ta-ta-ta-ta that I'm really going for. So if I wanted really quickly to make this a little louder, I could just slide it up to this one because it's already up there, but I think it's a good balance down here. Okay, now my toms in this part of the song are sounding more aggressive than I want. Oh, there's the clean guitar. Yeah, let's pull that down. And as we can see over here, for the most part, we're staying pretty far close to the green in the yellow. We're reaching the loudest part of the song, so it is about to jump up on us. I need to come back here and listen to those toms and make sure that that sounded good because the clean guitar came in and started freaking me out. Cool, yeah. I do feel much better about that. Okay, so now my harmony and this clean guitar part are interrupting with each other, so I'm gonna pull, because it's kind of just an arpeggio anyways, I'm pulling it down so that the actual lead line is emphasized. If you want to just follow the marker, you can just click this button and then it will move for you. As you can see, I was just sliding along to keep track with everything. Again, this is our loudest part of the song, and we're really only at 4.7 now, which is great news, because it means we have plenty of headspace if when we send it off to get mastered, or if we master it in our own DAW ourselves. Perfect. And the glockenspiel is loud enough even over this like fading out of the guitars, and so I'm not gonna have to worry about the faders at all, honestly. Okay, so we've done faders, and because I already have my presets set, I've kind of in many ways done the EQ. But what you would do at this point if you hadn't had any presets or set any stock plugins for your tracks as you were recording is you might want to go through and you might want to say, glockenspiel, and look up a preset and just be like, well, I wonder what this sounds like. Your kick drum. I happen to have created a preset that I like the way it sounds. Same with the bass, same with my rhythm guitar, and so on and so forth. And so at any point, if you just open up the library over here, you can find your channel strips, you can find the just whatever you need. Like Logic has so many presets, which is what makes it so easy to mix in Logic, because you just try one and see how it sounds, and if you don't like the way it sounds, you can always change it. So like for example, on this glockenspiel, say, let's cycle this top section. Maybe that delay isn't doing it for me. Maybe the chorus isn't doing it for me. You can always come in and turn them on and off. Do you hear that really low note? I remember when I was recording, I actually put a low pass EQ filter on it because I just want the high notes, and so I was just like, all of these low undertones, don't want them. You might want them. That might sound better to you than it does to me, but because I just want this part of the song, I'm like just looking for that. Don't need the dynamics, don't need the bass, don't need it to sound like more interesting. Just trying to get this like old clock feel. I'm like, I put that on there. It's wonderful. So once you've done your faders and once you've done your effects, again, I recommend presets to begin with, and if you just need to go on the internet and download presets from someone else because you like their sound or you trust them or whatever, do that. You can always add those in They might show up under user patches. They might show up, oh yeah, that's, or let's see, let me choose a normal thing. The user channel strip settings, and those you can all find in the Logic folder in your computer. Once you got that, now it's time to pan. Okay, so I have 2 guitars. I know that I don't want all of them in the same place. And since I have 2 of them and they are both pretty much a very similar, slightly distinct sound, I'm gonna totally hard pan them left and right. I could go all the way if I wanted to, and if I had 4 actually guitars, I might do a super hard pan and drop those way down, and then do a softer hard pan to make it like this. Okay, and then, so bass, I want more in the center of my mix, but I don't want the bass to mix with my kick, so I'm going to offset my kick by the same amount as my bass. The toms were really far on the right, so I'm gonna pan those actually to the left so they sit more in the middle where the drum set might sit. When it comes to panning, an easy way to think about it is to just think about setting a stage for a live performance, because on a stage for a live performance, you're gonna have your drums in the middle, and where are your guitars gonna be? Well, if you have 2 of them, like, you probably don't have them all the way together on the right. You probably have one on the right and one on the left. Your bassist may or may not be on the left or on the right with your guitar, and so on and so forth. Your vocals you want in the middle of the mix, because no matter if they're listening with one headphone or the other one headphone, you want them to be able to hear vocals. Obviously, I don't have any vocals in this, and that's in huge part because I don't actually know how to do a good job of mixing them, so I don't want to like teach you anything wrong before I feel confident in my vocal mixing abilities. Haha. So yeah, so like the snare, I mean, where does it sit in the drum set? Well, okay, if my kick is over to the left, then my snare is also over to the left, as is my hi-hat, for example, so I'll throw that over there. I've already done my bass, my lead guitar. Okay, so I have obviously so many guitars on my imaginary stage that I'm panning for. But seeing as I don't have vocals, I want it more in the middle. So I'm just, I'm gonna put it on a side to create that space, because obviously it's not like I'm gonna have the guitar and the drum and the other guitar and whatever. So I'm creating space by panning these to the left and to the right. The other thing is that you can, if you pan everything to the left, all that's gonna come out is out of this speaker. But you're trying, again, to create balance. Just like with the faders, on the pans, you want to create balance so that it sounds great. And then, I don't know where to pan this clean guitar part. Let's see. I'm looking, and my drum set is a little pan to the left, so maybe I'll pan it a little bit to the right. So let's listen to this part where everything is pretty much in. I don't know if you can hear that, but now there's like just so much room because I've panned it. And we're still looking good on our headspace. Okay, happiness is mine. This is sounding very good to me. Now, again, this is like how you would mix. So then if you wanted to master so that you could bounce it to iTunes or whatever, you are going to be doing all of that in this stereo out channel, or if you're feeling real fancy, this stereo out channel. You also, in the mix window, have a master fader, which you can choose or not choose to use. When I do quick bounces, I have a preset plugin that I kind of choose to use. You might also just choose a setting for a mastering. So again, in this you can find it by just like clicking a setting. This is going to be a preset. You can do a factory setting, a legacy setting, which will be very similar to all of the things. Wow, look at all of these presets you have to choose from. Of course, as you can imagine, my thing, I might choose a final rock master, wider master. I mean, so just take a listen to how that sounds. Immediately, the first thing you'll notice is that already I'm louder, which is what you want in a master. So let's go to loud part. So that sounds pretty nice. I'll put on my preset and you can tell me what you think. Basically, when it comes to mastering, what you are looking at is or when I do it, I try to keep it as simple as possible, because if my mix is good, then for my mastering, I'm just trying to get the volume up to a radio or a streaming level. So in here, I usually set a multipressor, and so I'll play through the loudest part of the song, and I'll max it out or min it out. You know what? Let's just do it. Let's just set it. I want to listen to this part of the song, even though it's not the loudest part, just because it's got the most dynamically going on. Okay, so I do want some bass, but that's too much. So I max it out, and then I drag it down to the point where I can just hear that there's a difference. And sometimes you want less of a sound. So like, for example, like these cymbals, oh, I can make those sound like so aggressive. Oh yeah. But I actually want less of that. Okay, so you have your multipressor. I have this just preset stock plugin, whatever have you, from Isotope. When it comes to limiting, so your multipressor is like dealing with frequencies. A limiter deals with decibels. So in a multipressor, you're just choosing like, okay, I want to emphasize the bass in the EQ or the trebles in the EQ. That's what I just did. So then for this, it's like my decibels. I want to increase it so that it's loud enough, or decrease it so that it's not too loud. That's why you create headspace, is so that when you set your limiter, you actually have dynamics in the song, but it's not just completely like very intense the whole time. So for streaming, you want to set your output ceiling for -0.5. If you want to be louder, you totally can set it to -1. The only thing is that if you set it to 0 and at any point your song hits that 0, it will clip and it'll make a terrible sound once you've bounced it. You might not notice it if you're mixing on headphones or whatever, what have you, but that will happen. So in the loudest part of the song, you want the reduction on your limiter to be no more than like 4 or 5. Sometimes I definitely push the line a bit and I do 5, as we can see right here. Yeah, 4.5. Yeah. So I'm never reducing more than 4.5, and basically all that means is I'm never like compressing the entire sound of the song more than 4.5 decibels, which means that it will still sound dynamic. And because in the mixing we made sure to keep everything with a decent headspace, we have dynamics. So even though this is peaking, its first peak is at 0.05 because of the gain structure, this part of the song is quieter than the loudest part of the song, or even like this next part. So that's just like the basics of mastering. And so at this point, you know, I might save and I might bounce my project, or I might share it to iTunes. But as far as I'm concerned, this is done. This is ready. So having seen all of that, please let me know if you have questions. I would be happy to answer them. I would be happy to go in more into depth about certain choices that I made, and you can feel free to tell me stuff that I maybe did wrong, or maybe that you would suggest I do differently based on your ears and all of the things. One thing I will say, I didn't have a reference track. It would have been smart of me to put in a reference track, and then as I am making my sound choices, to refer to that reference track. Another thing I didn't do, didn't change my headphones. I only listened to this on these headphones, and so I am assuming that it's such a good mix that it sounds good on your headphones or on your computer speakers. And like, because I haven't checked it, I don't actually know that. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you next week.